So eating in front of the TV, actually, something which many families do, right?
I do that.
So you were
all
eating
the
your,
time.
on your plate, you have your pap, your nama, and then you have the TV. So the pap is increasing your blood sugar. The TV is increasing your blood sugar. They're just these spikes that are happening. Our modern living is such that we have our fridges any time of day we want to go into them, right? Unlike back then or even in the village where the meal that's cooked, we eat it, we finish, that's it. And you need to teach your body to get rid of that habit of saying, about 8:30, I'll go grab something. Because that apple, it might be an apple, a very healthy thing. It has a very different impact on your body at 8:30 a.m. as from 8:30 p.m. Yes, you want to watch Netflix because I just want to disconnect from that day. And now she's sitting there 11 p.m., 1 a.m., which is really bad for you.
Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. Today, I am sitting in studio with my guest, Olali, who is a nutritionist and sleep expert.
Health coach. Health coach, and indeed, yes, sleep expert. I think, shouldn't we all be sleep experts?
Yeah, I'm actually saying it and thinking as I'm saying sleep expert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people will think, yeah? What?
No, that is true. That is true. That it might sound a bit of a strange term, but I think it's something that we all need to be because we all sleep or should sleep.
But look, the channel is Mindset Profits, and one of the things that we prioritize is business education, financial education. Mm-hmm. But every now and then we would like to talk self-mastery. Mm-hmm. And I know in the definition of success for many people, they look at their success financially. They look at their success sometimes in their relationships, but very few look at success in their health. Yeah. And that's where you come in.
That's exactly where I come in.
How would you define success?
I think success, there's this famous quote that goes about, especially in my circles, that if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And honestly, I think very much your physical health, because success means that this body that carries you on this earth needs to work well for you to be successful. That doesn't mean, of course, that differently abled people would not be successful, because that is something that is potentially, outside of their control. Yeah. But for most of us who are normally abled, success for me would mean that your body works right in order for you to do all of these other things.
Okay, that's a cool definition at the start of the interview.
Yes.
How do you introduce yourself in seminars? Who is Ulali?
Lali, a mother of 2 wonderful children and a wife to do me, and somebody who was a corporate woman who loved doing the work but found myself very much lacking in that overall success that we're speaking about, because I had health challenges that made it very hard for me to produce at the level that I was expected to at work. And so what I'm doing now as a health coach is something that I've always actually been interested in for a long time in order to help myself, I would say 5-10 years ago, the person that Lali was 5-10 years ago, and which is why I am as a health coach of professional women.
What did you study to get this? Is this purely passion, or you added some learning along the way? I would like to call it 2.5 certifications. The first one I did, I never actually completed it. And that was while I was a practicing attorney at the time. And I came very close to completing it, and then for a number of reasons, one of them being, I think I was just scared. Scared of what?
I was just scared of taking the leap, of saying, I've done this, let me complete the whole thing and then come out of law and do health coaching. That was now probably around 2010. I think
you left law to do coaching?
Along the way, yes, eventually.
Okay, how are you feeling about the decision now?
I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. I've thought about it a lot, and I feel like it's been a good decision for me overall. I might have made it differently had I been a different person.
How so?
I've never doubted my intelligence, my ability to do good work. I think I just doubted myself as a person. And I think it's something that you talk about in one of your podcasts is people who are afraid of success, afraid of being seen. That was very much me, I listened to one of those and I thought, he's talking about me here, and I was thinking that I was very much afraid of that, and I didn't have people around me to call me out in a way that made me feel like, yes, I could do it. Not that people were negative. People very much believed in me. My family, friends, they believed in me, but I don't think they really understood just the fundamentals that were missing in me, which I have thankfully since covered.
You have an aura and a presence that says, I can own the stage. I can talk to thousands in a room and really own the stage. Is this a sidekick that you do, emceeing?
No, I don't. I'm very much an introverted person, actually. So I like this. I like one-on-one kind of interactions, talking to people. I find that I take on a very different persona when I'm on stage, and it can be quite draining. At the end of it, But I'm also a teacher. I think that's one of the reasons also, before studying law, I wanted to be a teacher. My school teacher said to me, no, you're too clever for that.
Okay.
And that's, then I went ahead and I studied law, and I also studied science, actually. I went to Rhodes and they allowed us to study science and law together. And so actually when I stopped my corporate work, I went into lecturing law. And I might have still been doing that, actually, I think. But life worked out such that it didn't, I never got a permanent job as a lecturer. It was always contract work. So I enjoyed teaching. So for the stage, I would love to be teaching people, yes.
And then law came calling. How long were you in law?
Let's see. Probably, I think I stopped altogether with the lecturing. I stopped in 2017, I think it was. So that is 15 years.
Oh, that's a very long time.
All in total, yes.
Okay, all right. So you said part of why you left the corporate and the legal side of your career was you were having health challenges, and those caused you to find this or discover this new purpose.
Yes. What
were those challenges?
So I would say it's challenges that I'd actually had since I was a child. I was somebody who struggled with sleep. Always struggled with sleep and digestive issues and energy. And as I grew older, I think probably I only really identified in my 30s that it was also because I was a very stressed and anxious child. And from that, those would manifest as lack of sleep and not being able to, when you're sleeping, you're supposed to just be restful and that.
Stressed and anxious at a later stage in your career, or at a younger
age, I didn't identify that
because you sound like you had a very nice, easy path. Yeah, you are the smart girl in class, to the point that teachers are directing your path pretty much. So that is an easy.
It's not easy. In school. It's not easy. I was smart. I felt that I was always different. Also, like I said, being very introverted. I was a bookworm. All I did was read. So I just would get a book and I hid behind books. I think a lot of my life.
So where would the anxiety be coming from?
I don't know. I think I might have inherited it from my parents. They're both very intense characters, So I think I might have inherited that, And also, I'm a middle child, and middle child syndrome is real. It's real.
So when you say you were struggling with sleep, what did that look like? How long were you sleeping on average?
The place, hey? It was all over the place. I would be sleeping, as a kid, you're probably in bed by 9, 10. But then I found that it was never restful sleep. And so, I'd be in bed 9, 10, up by 5 or so, but it was never really deep, restful sleep. And when I was in high school, at some point, I was prescribed sleep meds. But I was like, this is not a good idea. I think I might have been 15, maybe 14, 15 at the time. And I thought, no, this is not the way to go about life. So I took that prescription for that time and then left it and then continued to struggle, just continued to struggle. But being young, sleep deprivation works, it's a lot kinder to you than now, So
what's the difference now?
As you're getting older, especially as a woman, with all the demands of life and children, I realized that I wasn't able to cope during the day. And if you're at work, you can't just be napping. You know, and I find that I'm slower in my thinking. My focus, wasn't as sharp as I wanted it to be. Which is why I said earlier that based on my experience and identifying in my friends as a lawyer and also having been in circles of CAs, my other group of friends are chartered accountants, I know what that whole thing is like. And I know that I could not be the only one who was going through this, which is why then I thought, okay, since I've always been interested in health, because of my own struggles, researching, reading books, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, when I then officially studied for health coaching, which, as I said, the first thing was around 2010. The second one was 2020 during COVID. I studied that, which, again, after that, I didn't do anything about it because I was still kind of scared of changing.
Even after the certification?
Yeah, even after that, I felt like, what are people going to think? I'm a lawyer. And
now you're talking about sleep.
Now I'm talking about sleep, exactly, So I went through that period of time of whenever somebody would ask me, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a former lawyer and now a health coach. It was always like that, But thankfully, in the past year, I no longer introduce myself like that. I'm a health coach. That's it. Only if a person asks anything more. So you studied this. What did you do before? Have you always done this? Then I'll explain. Now I fully embraced what I'm doing as a health coach.
You sound happy about it.
Very happy, yes.
You've taken out 2 guides that you say, one is free on social media.
Yeah.
Talk me through just the 2. What are they about?
So that free one, I've called it From Exhausted to Energized, an ambitious woman's guide to having energy. And as I've said, it's exactly something that is intended for the Lali of 5-10 years ago, who is struggling ambitious, but is also struggling to sleep. And if you're struggling to sleep, what I talk about in there is we know that sleep is a necessity. But some people are struggling. Others aren't necessarily struggling, but they're disregarding it. Because, we'll sleep when we're dead, right? We have all this time to sleep when we're dead. That's what we say. But we find that it really limits your career potential. You don't think as well as you should. You don't make good decisions. There is so much research out there, in America in particular, that shows that without sleep, business can go really south. Especially in my context of law firms. There's other research that I was actually looking at recently that shows that lawyers have some of the biggest health challenges. You're making bad decisions, you're abusing substances, you're abusing other people, you're not working so well with other people.
Because of sleep.
Because of sleep, sleep and also burnout. And it becomes one of those chicken and egg situations. Maybe you're burnt out at work and then it affects your sleep. Or because you're not sleeping well, you end up burnt out. So it's exactly that. So it's really just designed to help people to try and put in place some very basic steps. One of the qualifications that I also did last year is a quantum biology qualification, which is really, it focuses on circadian rhythms, teaching people about our circadian rhythms, the 24-hour rhythm that all our bodies run on. So I talk about that.
That is a big word.
It's a big word.
Okay. I do not know much about that.
Okay.
So I am happy you came because I will learn some cool things today.
Yeah.
What are those? Are they in the free book?
Yes, I talk about that a little bit because I try not to complicate the terminology. Essentially, your circadian rhythm is the 24 hours that we all run on, and it's controlled by sunlight. Mostly.
Oh.
So, yes.
Okay.
So, the big thing that I talk about in that guide is that when you sync your body to sunlight, and you do it in the morning, it helps you to sleep at night. It's free.
Okay.
Costs you nothing at all.
Explain.
It costs you a little bit of time.
Go deeper on that.
Go deeper on that.
How do I sync? Because it sounds like it makes sense. It sounds like something I really should be doing. But yeah, help me.
So, what I say there is that at sunrise, so if we think back, maybe even maybe 100 years back, but even if you think about the village, people in the village don't have electricity mostly, like deep rural. They don't have electricity. They wake up with the sun, or even before, right? But they wake up And because they also don't have big buildings that keep them indoors, they go outside. Most of their work is happening outside. The sun is already there, already and waiting for them. It connects with their body to synchronize. So when you step outside and you look at the sun, even if you're not looking at it directly, but the fact that your eyes make connection with the light that is around you, you are synchronizing and you are telling your body it's daytime. Then your body, your hormones know that. And people don't know this, but our sleep hormones are actually made in the morning.
Okay.
But only if you connect with the natural light. If you don't, your body doesn't know.
You're reminding me of something.
Yeah.
Andrew Huberman, in his podcast, they talk about this waking up in the morning, standing outside,
Exactly.
looking at the sun and making it a daily habit. So that's what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
What does looking at the sun do?
It tells your body it's morning time. It's essentially setting your clock. We have, every single cell in your body has a clock. It's not something which is spoken about. I mean, Andrew Huberman is making it very popular, and I'm very thankful for him because he got me into that consistent habit, actually, of doing this every morning. And so when you go outside and you look at sunlight, not these lights here, these lights are artificial. When you look at sunlight, it tells your body it's now in the summer, sunrise is like 5 a.m., tells your body that it's 5 a.m. These are the hormones we need to release. There's what needs to happen in the morning. So a very popular hormone on social media these days is cortisol. Cortisol is our energy and, like drive hormone and cortisol and dopamine, right? They're released gradually at that time of the morning. So when you wake up between 5 and 8, it starts going up gradually to give us energy, to give us push to go for the day. At the same time, the sleep hormones are also being made.
In the morning.
In the morning, the precursors of the sleep, which would be tryptophan, serotonin, which make the melatonin for nighttime. They're also being made. So if you're not telling your brain what time of the morning it is, you wake up, let's say, 6 a.m., you are in your house, you go from your house to your car, you go from the car to the office, all your eyes are seeing most of the time is what? The artificial lights, the lights in your car, the lights in your house, the lights in your office. Your body has no idea what time it is. It generally thinks it's midday most of the time because these lights are always on the same time and it's generally communicating midday. So now you're not syncing properly. And then at the end of the day, what does natural light do? It changes, it goes down. Then your body also knows. If you just go outside for a few minutes, let's say Gabo 5, you go outside 5 p.m. and sunrise, you start seeing the colors changing. They go from that bright to a nice red. Your body also knows it's time to go down.
Okay.
Because again, if you go back to the village, people aren't up in the village at 10 p.m. They don't have electricity. So the only light they have is the fire. And that fire, if you think about it, the color of fire looks like the color of the sun when it goes down. So that's the lighting that they get, and it communicates to their body, it's time to release melatonin. It's time for you to go to sleep.
So we need to look at the sun going down.
So we need to look at the sun going down, ideally, and then not expose ourselves. Now, let's say, I go to bed around 9:30. Now, between sunset and 9:30, what am I doing? Am I exposing myself to this light? If I'm doing that, I'm again telling my body, oh, no, it's still midday. We can keep going.
How does TV at night come into that equation?
Same way. TV at night is very much something that affects your circadian rhythm. It tells your body that you are up and you can stay up. It tells your body that it's midday. Because the lighting on TVs, I think it's mostly LED these days, just like the lights we have in our homes. They're LED, and they are what is called artificial blue light dominant. They run on a blue light spectrum. And blue light exists in nature, but it exists in a way where it is balanced out by the red and the yellows and the violets. Whereas here, like in this room, it exists just as blue light. And blue light is what gives us that alertness. So it's good for us for during the day. It's not good for us at 9 p.m. at night. So TV does that. Phones do that. Computers, they all have that, So in my guide, I talk to people about how you try to ensure that when you get home in the evenings, if possible, after supper, you dim the lights so that your body is not thinking, it's midday, we can keep going. you start communicating to it. I mean, not everybody has
The
light
way I love
dimmers.
lights in my house, like I switch on
Everything. No. So I'm here to tell you, sir, that kind of needs to change, you know. It needs to change in order for you to communicate that we're going to be going down to sleep. And your body needs to start making that sleep hormone so that when you get to bed, you're not now tossing and turning.
If I listen to this and try to pick up a new habit and say, let's say I watch TV till 9 p.m. And maybe pick up a book and read for 30 minutes or so and then sleep, does that work better?
It would, yes. You know, I say to people, when people discover a lot of the stuff that we talk about, it feels overwhelming because there is so much. It requires so much of a lifestyle change. But that's precisely why I coach people, is that it meant to be step by step by step. If you're going to bed at 11 p.m., I'm now saying, okay, and let's say you're watching TV, you know, like one of my clients was doing exactly that. She was coming back from an incredibly stressful day and feeling like, I need to just...
That's what it feels like sometimes when you get home. Like, this will save my life.
Yes, you know, you want to watch Netflix because I just want to disconnect from that day. And now she's sitting there 11 p.m., 1 a.m., you know, which is really bad for you. So now I'm saying, okay, let's try and bring it to maybe 10 and then turn off the Netflix and go read a book. So you feel like you can't really quite go to sleep yet, then go read a book. And then people are reading their books like I do also on our phones these days because it's ebooks mostly. And I'm reading on my phone. If you have and I know it's there also on Android, but I have an iPhone and that's what I know what to do. You can put red filters on your iPhone so that it's not this harsh.
I was about to ask
light.
about the blue light you were talking about.
Yeah.
That doesn't the font defeat the purpose?
It does, but there's features on an iPhone where you can turn the screen very red so that it doesn't affect you as much. It's still not ideal. But I'm not asking people to now act like they live in the village. That's not possible. We live a modern life now.
Do you have examples of what sleep deprivation looks like? Because I feel like there would be someone who's struggling with it and doesn't know that it is a problem.
It looks like being a horrible boss.
I
You know,
go.
things like that. Let's not even go to just simple things like, oh, I'm just so tired. You know, it looks like making questionable decisions in the office, being a cranky boss who's not nice to the people you work with. You know, it looks like somebody who's not nice to their children.
So you're saying if someone has mood swings and
Yes.
they are funny, we should ask, are you sleeping okay?
Yes, and of course they'll be offended. You know how people can be, you know, but much of the time it really is things like that. It's that because, and you think you're used to it. We think we're so used to the 4-hour, 5-hour sleep that no, I mean, it can't possibly be affecting me. But actually it is. It looks like premature aging for especially for us women, you know, as we come into perimenopause and menopause. Being deprived of sleep looks like now you're 45 and you look 55. It's those kinds of things. It looks like weight gain. Sleep, you know, I have a coach that I follow who says that he won't even help you with your weight if your sleep is not in order.
Whoa.
You know, like, let's fix your sleep. Before we can talk about what's on your plate, make sure you're sleeping well. So that's what it looks like for some people.
What's sleeping well? How many hours should we sleep?
So we all know what we've been told, right? Conventionally, 7 to 9 hours for adults, we're told, you know. There's going to be some variation to that. So I don't think that it's helpful for a person to feel guilty about, oh, I got 6 hours and 45 minutes, you know, kind of thing, the night before or something like that. You really need to look at a number of different factors, your own life situation. But I don't think that there's anybody who can say that they're okay on anything less than 6.5 hours on a regular basis. That would be the absolute minimum that I would say any adult should try and go on. Any adult in modern society, you know. If you live in a society, I think they do this in the Mediterranean, like countries like Spain, where you take afternoon siestas, it might work differently because the whole country shuts down and you can take your nap, you know, during the day. But for a average South African corporate woman, I think you need to be trying to get your 6.5 as close to 7 as possible, I would say. In the summer, it's going to be a bit shorter than in the winter also, again. So those things that are context dependent, because in the summer, I mean, where I live, the birds are in the trees at 4 they start. So, which means I'm trying to go to bed earlier. Actually, ironically, in the summer, I try to go to bed a bit earlier because I know the birds are going to start by 3:30, 4, and I hear them, and that's it for my sleep. So, but in the winter, because also nighttime is longer, try and make it longer, your sleep also.
Oh, this sinking thing goes that far.
It really does. And I think one of the reasons that makes it so hard for people to connect with it is that we don't feel it immediately, which is why I really like your question earlier about what looks like bad sleep. And a person would not necessarily think, oh, my weight gain could be connected to the fact that I don't sleep well, you know. So when they hear that, they're like, oh, yeah, makes sense.
Maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Does it lead to chronic diseases?
Oh, yes. Depression. I mean, October was Mental Health Month, you know, and I saw post after post, article after article talking about this. You know, corporates are doing this. And at the back, I'm thinking, but unfortunately, they're the same corporates that keep their employees sleepless. You know, they're having mental health days. But could we have every day be a sleep day? You know, if we can start doing that, it would solve so many of these issues. And there's research. It's not even hidden. It's just that, obviously, if you're not looking for it, you won't find it.
Yeah, true.
There's research that shows that if you have a well-slept workforce, it reflects in your bottom
productivity.
line. Exactly.
I have a friend who sleeps, I think, 5 hours. And has been doing that for a very long time. I think since 4 years or so, knowing the person. But I don't know how to tell them that this is dangerous. Help me. Because
Male, female, age?
Female.
Around, okay.
Female, age, I'm not sure, but probably some 30s.
And they've normalized it, though.
They've normalized
They've
it.
normalized it, yes.
It's just how they do life. But I don't know how to tell them that in the long term, it might not show up now, but somehow in 10 years' time or so, it will start to pop up in different ways.
Yeah.
Am I right to say it that way? Because I always say it, but without any science.
So, cancer is directly
I think
related.
if I could say that.
It is directly related to circadian rhythm dysregulation. And that circadian rhythm dysregulation is poor sleep, that 5-hour sleep, which I am sure your friend lives like us, modern living, under these lights.
Definitely.
Right? Exactly. Diabetes, because again, to talk about artificial light, do you know that artificial light, without you touching your plate, your diet, can actually increase your blood sugar?
Yeah?
It can increase your blood sugar. Blue light increases These lights can increase your blood sugar. And so people are becoming diabetic and they're thinking, but I eat so healthy, you know? And this is because you are under these lights all day. And
is TV a part of them?
Is what? TV.
Does it contribute in the same way?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So eating in front of the TV, actually, something which many families do, right?
I do that.
So you were eating on your plate, you have your pap, your nama, and then you have the TV. So the pap is increasing your blood sugar. The TV is increasing your blood sugar. They're just these spikes that are happening.
This is scientific.
This is scientifically established. It's very much scientifically established. So those things are related to your friend and many of us compromising on our sleep.
So you're saying I shouldn't eat in front of the TV?
You should try not to. And I know it's a social thing, you know, especially suppers. For families, it's a social thing. But I would say if you're going to do it Couple Friday for movies and that kind of thing. But on a regular basis, don't, you know. So.
I do that every day. You are coming to ruin my life.
You see now, I hear that a lot. But I like my life the way it is. But, you know, I think part of my role, as I said earlier, you know, I think I'm a teacher at heart, and I want people to understand that this is empowerment. It's not restriction. It's not trying to now keep you in a prison of, oh, I can only eat this because Lali said that at these times. No. But think of it as I'm empowering myself for the future. I want to live longer, and I want to live a healthy long life. These days we do live longer, but how is it happening?
The quality of life later.
Exactly. You know, you want to be there for your kids and for their kids.
So you said cancer, diabetes?
High blood pressure, hypertension, that gets a lot of people, which is actually itself a symptom of other things happening in the body. Mental health, I've already mentioned that. Depression,
Definitely,
anxiety,
yeah.
all of those are related. They are. There was a paper I was reading, I think maybe about 2 weeks ago, that it's almost like if you're going to have these things, there is a connection to light somewhere. There doesn't seem to be anything where these two aren't together. And light, also sleep, It doesn't seem like they exist separately.
So if I look at it the other way and say, so sleep can cure these things, or at least prevent them.
Yeah.
How long would I need to be on a good sleeping routine if I already have them?
The beauty of the morning habit I spoke about
Yeah.
is that it can reset you in as little as 3 to 7 days.
Okay.
3 to 7 days. Research has been done, and one that I can think of, I think it was in Canada, it might have been, where they took people camping. And when you're out camping, again, it's out there in the boonies, there's no lights,
Then
nothing.
you have to sync.
And in that 7 days, when they went back, in fact, it was over a weekend. The one paper was over a weekend. Yes,
Yeah.
The other one was 7 days. Over that weekend, they were able to sync again. But of course, you go back into the city lights and it falls apart again unless you continue to maintain the habit. So if you start, like I do every single morning, I get up and I get out. When it rains, I just open a window and I stick my head out the window to sync, If that's not a morning when I'm going out to run, then I just stick my head out the window and I get the morning light. And it's about 5 minutes. Okay, like this morning it was overcast. It might require maybe 10 to 15 minutes of that time. But
5 minutes? That sounds long. What are you
it's not
thinking
long.
about?
You can be praying. You can be reading a
If
book.
I pray, I'll close my
You can
eyes
be-
most. Then I'm not thinking.
Don't close your eyes. So it's time that I spend outside on a normal day when it's not raining. I'm reading, I'm praying. So you don't have to just stand there and be looking at the sun. You're not just doing that. No. You can be doing other things. You can be working out. At the times I'm working out. So as long as I am outside the house.
As long as you can see the light.
And exactly. And you don't even, like where I live.
This is not looking directly at the sun.
No,
because
don't look directly at the
That's
sun.
a whole other thing.
No, I don't actually even get to see the big ball of the sun. I just know that there's light in the morning, So like people who live in the East End, they get to see the sun itself, I live that side in the West. I don't see it necessarily, but I know it's doing its work. And I'm a living testimony of that. Like I said, with all my sleep struggles that I had, then being able to fix them. I was on a lot of supplements trying to help, especially like during COVID. It was really rough, It was stressful for everybody. I was trying this, trying that. But at beginning of 2021, when I started saying, I'm going to do this every single day, it fixed my sleep issues.
Did it fix the anxiety?
It did. I wasn't thinking that, but I wouldn't say it was the only thing. I think I was becoming a more well-rounded and holistic person. But I know that it did fix anxiety, because anxiety, depression, these mental health issues are also very related to hormonal function in the body. And unfortunately, what we do, and I should say before I even complete my sentence that by saying this, I'm not saying people shouldn't be on their meds. But what we do is give people these meds which actually just mask or even worsen the problem. And they're very expensive meds, whereas the sun is free. And if you can just do that, and it's precisely because it's free that people just think,
I can't be.
Yeah.
Is
Like,
it?
nah, that's not it.
Why is your guide free though?
Because I want people to access the information. It's not secret stuff. It's not hidden. I want you to be able to access the information, and then you get to understand more of that. You get to understand more of what I do, and then I can then bring in people for private
And
coaching.
we can work directly for
Yes.
coaching. All right. If I were to, what's the second book about?
It's also, I've called it Get the Best Sleep of Your Life. That is just really much more about sleep. Not so much just about energy, but about sleep.
And so we called you right, sleep expert.
Yes, it's very much a workbook that is trying to get people to make practical changes. So like in there, I talk about looking at your bedroom space. Is it cluttered? Is it a place that you can sleep in? People also don't know things as simple as the temperature of your room and can make or break your sleep. If it's too hot, especially for many South African women, in our 30s and our 40s, we start having these hormonal shifts that make us very cold. And so you want to sleep under thick blankets and, fleece pajamas, and those things affect the quality of your sleep. You want people to start making those changes of saying, okay, when your core temperature is cool, you're able to get into deeper sleep. And practical things like change your curtains, buy blackout curtains, and try and make your room very dark so that no light is coming in there and affecting your sleep. It's things that, as I say, they're so simple, people don't think they'll make a difference. But they do when you start making them, those changes. They do.
Interesting. Hey, Nami, now you're making me think, let me get this guide now. But Lali, if someone says, I hear you, but still, the reason why I'm sleeping 5 hours, 4 hours is I try to sleep. So I go to bed, I will close my eyes for 2 hours, but sleep 2 hours later.
Yeah. I have also encountered people like that. And I used to be one of those, actually. And I think it's a lot of different things. We start with the simple things. It could actually be a person's diet. That's something, again, that people don't connect. Your blood sugar could be dropping in the middle of the night. And you're not aware of it because you haven't eaten a meal, or let me say meals throughout the day that are supportive of keeping your blood sugar regulated. Okay. So that is happening to a lot of people. So it would be making sure that you have enough of your protein, fats, and carbs. Our modern diet is very carb heavy, and by that I'm not against carbs, but I think we do a lot of refined carbs. The pups, the shop breads. The rice and potatoes, I'm okay with those, but they need to be supported by protein and fat. So when you don't eat enough of that,
I think you came with an agenda today.
And my agenda is freedom and empowerment. Am I against you? Are you feeling attacked?
I know you're attacking me now. Because I will travel to any country and just ask if they have it.
No. I am not trying to take the pup from your plate. I'm just saying you should take it away from your plate. So you see, the thing is when you're having that, and as I say, because women's hormones are they need to be very closely managed, unlike you, as a man, there's a bit more grace.
So I can't have my pup.
So you can have your pup. When you can have your pup, but the women in your life, not
all right,
so much.
So you were talking about sleep deprivation or struggling to sleep could be a combination of many things.
Yeah.
And the first one you're talking to now is nutrition.
Yes, it could be that. Exactly.
What are the other things that cause that
it
struggle?
Could be emotional stuff that a person is now finding themselves waking up in a panic maybe, or just that anxiety that is keeping them awake. I have people who say, I find my mind is just churning and ruminating the whole time, and I'm not able to get into deep enough sleep. And I'm not skilled enough to work on that. Then I say to a person, they must work with a therapist to work on those kinds of issues to help you to be able to get into sleep.
Okay.
I think it's
so it's nutrition.
So it's
emotional.
Yes.
I guess stress comes into the picture as well.
Exactly. So you actually really need to try and manage that. And even with things like that, I still say you can work with a therapist, but also internally there are things you can do for yourself. You can learn to breathe properly, and breath is a powerful stress and anxiety reliever. Again, research has established that. But again, it's free, and it's within my power to do it. But people don't think so, because we'd rather outsource to something else which somebody in a white coat is going to tell me to take.
Does the time I eat my last meal count?
Yes.
Explain.
It does. So there is controversy with many people about this. Some would say it doesn't matter, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., grab your cake and whatever, eat and go to bed, But what actually happens there, so let me just finish that. I'm of the camp that says leave a good 2 to 3 hours, provided when you go to bed you're not too hungry. There might be times when you find that you're too hungry and you're unable to settle into sleep. Then I would say have a small snack just before, because hunger will affect how well you sleep also. But leaving those things aside, what happens if you eat too late or too close to bedtime is that your insulin is still working, because insulin is going to be trying to regulate, your insulin is regulating your blood sugar, and it's still working in your body. And if insulin is active in your body, it means that other hormones, there's the hormone that is called leptin, which comes into a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. And
I know. What deeper, Sissy?
I try not to use these terms because I don't know. I find
it's
that they can be
unavoidable
more,
in this instance. So
sometimes, yes.
continue. It goes to the part of the brain
So
called?
it comes into your hypothalamus, which is kind of like the manager, if we could call it that. Now, your leptin tells the hypothalamus how much energy has Lali used for the day and how much it thinks I'll need for tomorrow. But while my insulin is active because I ate this big meal at 8, 9 p.m., leptin can't actually do its job. Which goes back to what I said earlier about weight, is that people end up having weight resistance because insulin is constantly active. Leptin isn't making its proper calculations. Leptin is called like the accountant hormone.
Okay.
It's not making proper calculations, and it's giving incorrect information to my brain, and then my brain might think, for argument's sake, I need 2,000 calories when maybe I needed 1,500 calories, let's just say. And those calculations keep happening like that. Those miscalculations keep happening like that every night, night after night, night after night.
And then weight becomes the problem. And someone says, I don't eat a lot. I don't understand what's going on.
Exactly. I'm at the gym at 5 a.m., but this is what's happening to me. So
what's the latest time I should be eating?
If you're going to be going to bed 10 p.m., I would say close your window by 7 p.m. Try and make sure that your last snack, you've had it by then. And it does take some getting used to. So grant yourself grace. Because, again, our modern living is such that we have our fridges any time of day we want to go into them, right? Unlike back then or even in the village where the meal that's cooked, we eat it, we finish, that's it. Because there's no fridges to store this food.
There's always something in the fridge.
There's always something for me, living in the suburbs, and there's always something in the fridge that I can go and grab. So we have that habit. And you need to teach your body to get rid of that habit of saying, about 8:30, I'll go grab something. Because that apple, it might be an apple, a very healthy thing. It has a very different impact on your body at 8:30 a.m. as from 8:30 p.m. It'll do different things in your body.
What will it do at night?
So, again, at night...
The whole process you are describing now.
Yeah. Your insulin works very differently than during the day.
morning.
Because during the day, the body expects to eat. It's expecting that. But at night, now there's confusion between the melatonin, the insulin. Well, what's going on? The body is not sure what's going on there. And there's this collision, hormone collision happening. Yeah.
If I'm struggling to sleep, do sleep meds help? Or how long should I be taking them? I know for a day or two they'll knock me out, but if I've been generally struggling to sleep and I take them, is that something you advise?
So I say to people, I'm not a medical practitioner. I don't prescribe anything at all like that. If somebody comes and says, my doctor has put me on these meds, and I've had at least one person talking about that and they're unhappy about the meds and they feel like they're making them gain weight and other such things, I'll say to them, you need to talk to your doctor about that. We can talk about supplements. One of my favorite sleep supplements is magnesium. So if a person is struggling, I would then say, please ask your doctor. Because again, you don't want, even if your doctor says yes, you don't want to just come off meds that you've been taking for months and weeks, You want to just taper down. So ask your doctor if you can take the magnesium while you're lowering the dosage of the sleep meds. But something like magnesium works amazingly.
Magnesium supplements. Okay.
But I don't want, like me, I used to rely so heavily on these things because we think, supplements, they're cleaner, they're okay. I want people to set the foundations of their health first. Do that first. Do the free sunlight. Why buy magnesium if you can get free sunlight? So I want people to do that. And then if you say, okay, every now and again I feel like I might need something, then I have them. I have them in my house, but I use them occasionally. I'm like, if you've been traveling, and, sometimes when I get to a new place, I don't sleep so well, it's not my own space, I might take my magnesium to help me in that instance.
What about people who wake up at night hungry? The guys that you they'll visit you and you'll hear capots and stuff and think there's a burglar or something.
Yes.
You go downstairs, you check and you find
So
Umjita is hungry.
it's busy eating in there. So as I said earlier, it could be a wrong combination, but also it could be that they didn't eat enough during the day. Because again, we live in a culture where we're always just nibbling, yana, especially for women. We're told we need to eat small portions, but at night your liver is now depleted its resources of glycogen, and you're hungry, and you're genuinely hungry, So I would say at that time, it's probably not a good time to be trying to teach a person about health issues. Get what you need to eat and go back to sleep. Eat and go back to sleep.
So for that day, they should just eat and sleep, and then
and then
start
try
doing
and
the
fix
therapy
things.
after.
Exactly. So I'm not going to be too hard on a person and say, don't do that.
Who should be looking for you? If someone loves you now on this podcast and thinks, should I be working with her? Who should be looking at calling you and reaching out?
30-something, 40-something-year-old women. So even if you're a man who's watching this, tell the women in your life that health coach Lali is ready to help them to sleep better, to eat better, because their life, their career, their relationship with you depends on it.
Why? I know I'm offended now. Why not the guys?
I do work with guys, but
you are very specific right now.
I am specific, and I have worked with guys actually, but they come to me. I'm not out there really seeking male clients. But I want to speak to the women directly because I know what I've been through, and I know how I can help them. I've worked with some guys who've been okay as clients. Others who, when it comes to food, will be like, but it's my wife who cooks, so I don't know this, I don't know that. And then I'm like, okay, but when are you going to sabotage our results now? So the next time you come to me, come with your wife. But yeah, I'm really open to helping everybody, but my primary market is women.
I think as we kept off,
yes.
What are my options if I'm struggling to sleep because of stress, but it's work-induced? I'm in a high-pressure corporate environment, and I can't really stop the workload coming. It's there. It's the reality of my job. What are my options if my my sleep struggles are coming from the pressure at work?
Yeah, it's something that I think about a lot.
Besides quitting.
Yes, besides quitting, right?
Yeah.
Because that is the primary core of my clients. It's really so person dependent, Working with senior executive women, they have a lot of pressure on them, but they also have some freedoms. So I'm not sure what I would advise a person who was maybe at a low level, like as a clerk, I'm not sure what. But at that level, a senior level, because you have some freedoms about you, I say to people, do things as simple as having a nap time, because you can block that in your diary during the day. I also advise and say, if you have deadlines, go to bed early. So let's say you have something that you need to produce for work on a Wednesday. On Tuesday, go to bed early. 9, be in bed. Rather wake up early, as opposed to the cross-nighting thing that so many of us do. So which is why I say it's very much client-dependent and situation-dependent in that it depends on what's happening with your life. But if you're able to
how much
see,
of these freedoms they have
that they
to play
have,
around
exactly.
the calendar.
But we always have something that we can play around with. There's always something. But too often I think people feel like, it's just a helpless situation. It is what it is. The only thing I can do is quit. Also, having said that, that's individuals. I am really hoping that over time, I'll be able to get into corporate spaces where I can speak at corporate level, to be able to get C-suites to change the way that we do work, especially in the law space, as I've said. I know what it's like in there, and things need to change. Things need to change because your workforce is what makes your work happen. And you need to care for people enough to say, okay, there can be naps during the day. Actually, when I was in corporate, I used to have a blanket in my car. And if I was really tired, I would go to, so those covered under parking, I would go into my car and I'd take a nap. Honestly, I confess.
So you're one of those people, but I would never try that for starters. I'd rather buy a Red Bull. You know why? Because I'm a good sleeper. When I put my head on the pillows,
You're out.
I'm gone.
Okay.
So I would not be able to control how long I sleep for there. I might go to the car at 1 and wake up at 4.
Set my alarm. I would set the alarm on my phone. 20, 30 minutes.
Those guys that just, it's like a lullaby.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need it. And
Yeah.
you want to be in a space that allows you to do that. But if not, take that break. About 12, 1, just go and do that because you need it. You can't live on Red Bull and coffee.
No, I was just asking because
see, yeah.
I was talking to a CEO just about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I was saying that's one of the things that he's introduced in his life. He takes afternoon naps.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay.
If it works for a person, some people might just need to go for a walk, maybe. 5-10 minute walk. Then you come back and you feel, okay, I can do this again. Nobody's going to fire you for going for a 5-10 minute walk.
Yeah, no, especially during lunch.
Exactly.
You have control there.
So it's a matter of finding little things you can do. Just because you're a powerful woman, and maybe you're like the only black woman in that C-suite level, doesn't mean you must sacrifice your health and your life for that. There are things we can work around to help you do. Yeah.
Lali, how does this lesson, your message, how does it apply to older people that are retired? And how does it apply to the young generation?
So with older people, they have a lot more freedom. They can do what they want with their time. Syncing your circadian rhythm matters for everybody. From birth to death, it matters for everybody. For you to do that, if you're retired, then you can. Maybe you don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning, because you have got nowhere to go. But what I say to people is, as soon as you wake up, get out. Whatever time you wake up, just get out and get that connection with the light. And all people tend to wake up pretty early anyway. With younger kids, especially in this go culture of ours, we find that they themselves are actually suffering even earlier and earlier in life from anxieties and all of these things that we used to see only in 20, 30-year-olds. Now they're being found in 10-year-olds. It's very much dependent on their parents helping them, to say, okay, going to take device breaks. We're not going to watch TV while we eat. Those things are from the adults to be able to do that. You're going to go to bed. Some parents have lights on in their kids' bedrooms, because they've trained them since birth that you have a light on. You're going to start training your child. We need to turn that light off. And
that's me. I know. You're a prophet or something.
I've just brought problems.
You brought problems today. Goodness.
So it's those changes that you make little by little. But I say to people, take baby steps. Don't throw everything out and don't try and do all of this in 1 week. Yes.
Yeah, now I'm even forgetting my clothes. You was in a trauma. Today,
Yes.
you were on my case, but I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate being here and being able to share this message. And I'm very passionate about it.
I can see.
It's made such a change in my life, that I want to share this with people, especially as I keep saying, it's free, All you have to pay is for my services, but sunlight is free.
And your book is free.
And my book is free, yes.
And when you're getting the results and you want more deeper coaching, reach out.
That's exactly.
And
That's
they
my
can
message.
find you on
So-
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, I'm there, Lali Moraba. Instagram, I have a presence, but I'm not very active on it. That's Kanya Wellness.
So LinkedIn is your thing.
Yeah, LinkedIn is where I am because that's where my ideal client is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this very
Thank you
much.
so much. Well, you were told you'd be in good hands. I hope that's
Yes.
what it felt like.
Yes. No, for sure.
This has been, insightful for me in so many ways because, goodness, Sister Girl came with an agenda. It's like she read a profile of my life and says, I'm coming to attack.
I'm coming to give you freedom.
No, but thank you. I think this is one of those episodes that I'll watch over and over for myself as well.
Yes.
And truly, really grateful.
No.
I know it's going to help someone. If you know someone who's struggling with sleep, this is the one episode you really want to share with them. And if you know someone who's like my friend, 5 hours sleeping, which is dangerous for them, at least this is another episode as well to share with them. But from our side, see you on the next episode. Thank you.